So we are looking at the transmission on my W123 Mercedes, and it's got an issue where it slips starting off in first gear. So like I said, this thing slips in first gear. It only does it when it's warmed up, and it normally barely does it. Like, what it feels like is if you were on a really slick surface and you gave it throttle and your tire spun just for a split second and then caught dry pavement and went. That's what it normally feels like. Now, I haven't been driving it because I made the assumption that the B2 piston is failing. It could be cracked, could have a seal that's leaking, and that when it's hot, you know, the fluid's thinner and it's requiring more fluid pressure basically to engage the I think it's a band for first gear. And so basically, but normally when these fail, they break, they crack, and then they break. And then it's a catastrophic failure. You suddenly lose forward gears. So I haven't been driving it, and I've been delaying doing this job because it's not the easiest thing to do in the car, and it's not easy to get the transmission out of the car to do it. So, but we're gonna do it in the car, or at least try to, because on these, you really can't pull the transmission without pulling the engine. You gotta pull them both together. So we're definitely not doing that. So we're gonna try to do this in the car. Hopefully it goes smoothly. So, I did drive it yesterday, I needed to, and it slipped more than it ever has. Big time slipping, and it did not engage, and I was like, oh crap. And then it did engage, and I went home. So it's definitely gotten worse. So what we're gonna have to do is get to that. Yeah, that's it right there. We have to get that cover off. And if you see, we've got 0 working room. So we're gonna have to make some room. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop the transmission as far as it'll go. And I think to do that, I'm gonna also go ahead and undo the, just loosen the fan shroud so that the fan doesn't end up in the fan shroud. You know, we wanna drop this transmission. It's basically gonna pivot down, and we want it to pivot down as far as we can get it, which means the front of the engine is gonna pivot up. So we wanna get as much of that as possible. We're also gonna undo the drive shaft. So we'll undo the coupler at the back of the transmission, right there. So we're gonna undo that. And then when we undo the transmission and let it drop, I'm gonna put a strap on it, and I'm gonna hook on to probably one of those holes in the frame rail right there, or in the unibody. And I'm gonna ratchet strap and pull the transmission over to the driver's side. So we're gonna drop it down and pull it over as far as we can. We'll have a jack rested under the transmission this whole time. I think what we're gonna do, we'll just undo the bolts for this cross member, just leave the transmission bolted to the cross member, and then do it that way. We're gonna wanna pull the pan at some point. I'm probably not gonna do it initially, but before we go back together with it, we will need to pull the pan to make sure there's a rod that goes in there and pushes up against like the band. We need to make sure all that lines up correctly. So we will need to pull the pan, but I'm gonna leave it, I think, together until we are ready to go back together. I think we're just gonna get things started today. I do have it up on ramps, but we may need a little more height to it. we'll have to see. So I'll set up some time lapse. We're gonna unbolt the drive shaft from the coupler, probably leave the coupler attached. Doesn't matter, do it either way. And try to get that out of the way. And then we'll undo the transmission cross member so that we can, it's these 4 bolts, those 2 and those 2, and that'll allow us to drop the transmission. And like I said, I'll just hook a strap probably around the cross member, pull it over, leave the transmission sitting on a jack, and we'll just see what kind of room we end up with to work with here to get that cover off and replace this piston. Before we start working on stuff underneath, so I was gonna get the fan shroud loose, and it's just these 2 clips right here, and we'll set these to the side. And then I like to just set them back in there. And now we've got this loose, and we're just gonna leave it sitting here, and it can rise up with the engine, or we could tie wrap it up or whatever. I just want to give us some clearance to allow the fan to go up, if that makes sense. Might be unnecessary, but I definitely don't want to. It's plastic blade fan. I don't want to break a fan blade or something like that, so we'll play it safe. Transmission is being supported by a jack. Let it down a little at a time, looking to see how things are clearing. And as you can see, I noticed this was gonna hit, so I popped the dipstick out, and you can see we cleared this by, I don't know, about a 1/4 inch. I'll put a rag around that. Looks a little better like that, I guess. It's kind of covering it. But over here, what we've got, it's probably can't really tell, but it is pulled over slightly to one side. Our fan shroud definitely would have hit because it was lower than it is now, so that was good that we loosened that. And over here, we've got strap around the transmission, hooked in that hole, pulling it over to one side. So let's go see. I haven't looked at our clearances yet. Let's see if we think we can work on it. I think the exhaust is going to be in the way, so we're going to have to do something about that, but let's go look and see. All right, I came over here where I can watch what I was doing, and I cranked on that ratchet strap until we touched this sensor against the side of the transmission tunnel. So we cannot move any further over. We are maxed out, but I think we got room to work now. If we can undo these 2 bolts in the exhaust and get this a little bit out of the way, I think these 2 bolts and those 2 bolts, and get the exhaust kind of dropped a little bit, it'll just make it easier. All right, so now's a good time to take some brake cleaner and a rag and just kind of clean this area up. So you've got 2 covers on the side of the transmission. The B2 piston is this back one. Now, it's held in by a little clip. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the rubber end of my hammer, and I'm gonna kind of push in on that. We need to get this cover to pop in just a hair, And you can see the side, you can see this little clip right here. You can get a screwdriver in there. Once this pushes in a little bit, you can get a screwdriver right in there and pop this clip out. But the cover is gonna have to go in just a hair, and I can't push it in, it's kind of stuck. So take the rubber end of my hammer. I'm gonna have to have two hands, but take that rubber end and just pop. Well, you have to have two hands. It went in, so now I'm gonna pop this out. Should have grabbed my tripod. Wasn't planning on filming this. Oh, by the way, you can see our exhaust is now free, sort of, enough. Watch out, this thing can go flying. Once I get it out, I like to put my thumb on it. All right, that is out. Now, before we take this out, I'm gonna take some time. I'm gonna spray some brake cleaner really good where that groove is, because that groove is full of gunk. And then wipe it out really good before we pull this cover off. All right, so I went and got the other camera. I think I've got it set up where hopefully y'all will be able to see, and I'm not gonna block with my head or something. But I did get a pan to throw on here in case we lose some transmission fluid. And like I said, we've got that clip off. So I'm just gonna try to get on different areas of this cover. Probably grab it with some needle nose pliers, to be honest. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab some real quick. There's probably a 20-digit long numeric part number puller thing from Mercedes, but I'm just using some angled needle nose. Glad I had this pan handy. Alright. Cover looks fine. Glad I also had a rag over here. Yeah, probably if we would remove the pan first, we wouldn't have all this fluid. We'd probably have some fluid, but not all of this. And I'm worried we're not going to have enough room to get this thing out of here. Let's see. Ooh. Oh man, that's perfect. And we lost the ball. No, the shaft. Okay. So, there we go. Looks like the bore is in good shape. So I'm going to take some time, look over this thing real good, and see if I can tell anything. We may have just had a seal that was leaking. And it's also possible this wasn't our issue, but we'll take some time and we'll clean it up, and I'll bring y'all back. Alright, we got this thing on a table to work with. It definitely did not catastrophically fail. It's definitely got some wear to it, but my understanding is when they catastrophically fail, they come apart. And so this one, you know, maybe it was just leaking. This seal could be leaking, or, you know, right here it could be leaking. The new one is a different design. I haven't looked at these before, so I don't know. They may have had several designs, but if you look, this one has a different seal right here. So yeah, the bore in the transmission looks great. I don't see any scoring or anything, so all that looks good. Yeah, this thing, just a slightly different, well, quite a bit different design, I guess. The old one is a 126-277-0338, it looks like. This looks like a 126-277-1138. So, slight difference in part numbers. But yeah, and it's an even different part number on the outside there. So along with this, we grabbed the cover seal and this seal that goes, this is a different design than what is in the transmission. This is what seals right here. So we're gonna need to get the old one of these out, and I'm wondering if this could be the culprit of our issue, if this was leaking. I don't know, but I don't think, to be honest, I don't think it was this. I feel like if it was this, you would have excess fluid getting on the back side, maybe, and then that would cause could cause a cover leak. You know, I guess if that O-ring was good enough, maybe it wouldn't leak. But I'm wondering if this here was leaking, but it's definitely got a lot of wear to it. So we need to get this little, I don't know if you want to call it a seal, whatever you want to call it, that black thing. We're gonna have to come up with some way to get that out. I think I've got a screwdriver that I've bent the lip on, bent the end on. We may see if we can get that in there, and get that out, and use it to get that out. I've also got a slide hammer that's got like a seal puller on it. So we may see if that will go in there. I don't know if I've got enough room to get that on here. You know, I don't know if we're far enough down. So we'll see. So I'm gonna go out to the shop and kind of look around and see what we got, because we're gonna have to get that thing out. I think we're low enough where when we're ready to go back on, we can get it, you know, put back on straight. I think we're past the center line, just barely, that we can get something on there and drive it on straight with no issues. And then I'm also going to look around in the shop. I should have ordered a transmission pan gasket, and I did not. May have one, so I think I do. So I'm going to go look for that as well. So I feel like I made that puller for no reason. I was able to get in here. There's a metal, and I think this is what was hanging us up. It's the press part of it, what's holding it, is not in here. It's out here, like a seal. It just has this metal bushing, but what's really holding it is the metal ring around this seal part of it. So I got my screwdriver in here, and I got part of it folded over. Just gently folded it over. And I brought a whole assortment of stuff, but that screwdriver seemed to work best. Then, what I did, if you don't already have one of these, get one of these. These are Titan adjustable prod bar, and this is just one of the smaller ones, but you can adjust this angle. Push on here, it's like almost like a little ratchet part. I mean, it doesn't ratchet, but, and you can adjust it to any spot you want. So I was able to get this in here, and I just went along in a couple different spots and just barely caught that lip and just kind of worked around, and I've got it loose, but because of how this pries up against, it's actually prying up against the metal part of the seal, so it doesn't want to pop it out. So I'm wondering now that it's looser. And I think the key to that may have been that we the key to that may have been the well, sorry, I'm thinking and trying to talk, and I guess it's not going very well. But the key to that may have been that we actually we bent that over, so it decreased that inner diameter. It's kind of a thought. Let's see if this guy will go in there now. See if this might work. Now this puller is probably, if you did a better job of making this puller than I did, it probably would work well. But if you're gentle and you can bend over that inside lip or that outside lip, I think that, you know, works well. This may still not work. We may still have to work on it some, but figured I'd bring y'all back because it felt like it was loose, but puller wise it doesn't look like it's pulling it out, so may still need to work on it some. I think it is coming out. Yeah, it's got it. Definitely, you know, the puller routes, I don't know what's easiest, to be honest. So here's what it looks like. Oh man, son of a gun. Let me show y'all. I made this much harder on myself. Let me show y'all. So this is key information here. So if you look at this thing, you know, when it's in there and you feel in there, you feel this lip. See, it's got a lip right there. If you look at it, see this lip? Well, I can't see. I thought, you know, this is part of the seal, and then this part of it is the, or I thought this part right here, you know, past this little lip, was the transmission case. My original piece that I made here, you know, so basically I was trying to make something that would fit and hit that little lip right there. You can see how little of a spot I was working with, and that's what I did. But I mean, it could have been so much bigger and gotten in behind that. Now, what was confusing to me was when I looked at the new bushing, it's a nylon one. It's not like this, but it is thick. That's why I was saying I think mine must be worn down, but you can't really tell. I should have known better, to be honest. I mean, I should have known. So, yeah, I made this much harder for myself. So, yeah. And then the seal part of it truly is a seal. It was a seal that was holding, that was in there as well. So what I need to do now is see if you're still supposed to use that seal, because I don't have this seal. So when I ordered mine, the pieces I found, and I think we'll know this pretty quick about looking at the little thing, Yeah, I think we're supposed to have a seal. So here's our new piece. So when I was looking at this, I was like, well, you know, it is thick. There's no step on this one. You know, it is a same diameter in here. You know, if they would have had a step in there, I would have been like, oh, okay. So that's definitely same. I just should have put 2 and 2 together. But yeah. Anyway, I feel like it's supposed to have this seal though. But like I said, what I think originally, or what made this finally come out, if you can see, I was able to catch, I don't know if you can tell right there, see, I bent this ring in over on this corner. I was able to catch the edge of it, bend it, and then get it at a different angle and kind of fold it in. That reduced this inner circle. Then, yeah, to be honest, I mean, shoot, there's so many different things you could do, you know, knowing how this is, of course. And that's where, you know, when you've done this before, you know what to look for, or how it goes together. I couldn't find really any information. I found some pictures of people doing this, not so much like what's here, you know, like, you know, you've got a seal, you've got this, you know, knowing it was like this and that we're replacing this. I mean, you could take a punch, you could punch a hole in this, you could then, you know, put a screw through it like you would a normal seal. It's only going to go up against this bushing piece that you're going to replace. You know, as long as you didn't go all the way through this, you know, there's a bunch of different ways you could do it. If I would have known it was like this, I could have gotten maybe in behind here with that crowbar or the pry bar, you know, try to get in here and pop the seal out first. I thought all this was one piece. So if you're watching this, you know, this is how it's made. This goes in the transmission, this is your bushing, and then you've got a seal. So I'm going to have to go find this seal. Like I said, I do not have that. That was not in what I saw for parts diagrams on this. Probably missed it. I would assume that you're supposed to put a seal in there and not, you know, just the bushing. So let me do some research and find that and try to order it, because I don't have it. So, but at least we got it out. I think probably the puller, you could do it without the puller. I don't know. If I had to do it over again, I don't know. I would do the puller still. I don't know. I mean, in theory, this would have worked perfectly if, you know, you've got this thing in here like this. If you could get it in, and, you know, catch it on that lip, you know. Sorry. Catch it like that, you know, of course on both sides, and that would have worked. But that's how I was trying to do it. Of course, you can see there's just not much material there. That's what I was saying. It was like peeling it away. See? It just peeled it. You know, this is just aluminum. I thought, yeah, I thought all kinds of things. Of course, some of this could have been from a pry thing too, because I was putting that pry bar in here, prying against. But I thought this was a steel sleeve made as part of this seal. You know, you look at it, and you look at it like that, and you think it's a steel sleeve made onto this seal. At least that's what I thought. Anyway, you definitely can make this job easier than I made it. I mean, I got it. You know, it just, and to be honest, I mean, it's not like I spent hours working on this. I really didn't. It just, I spent,
you know, a little bit of time making this, and then I spent more time whittling it down, which if I would have left it its original size, it probably would have been perfect. So I may do some measurements for y'all. If I remember, I'll measure here, I'll measure this thickness, and then I'll measure this inside thickness and give you all those dimensions. Of course, actually, just use your nylon bushing as a example, and it's gonna be the same size. Man, like I said, I should have known. I should have known. Anyway, enough beating myself up. Let me try to find this seal real quick and try to get that thing ordered.
So I did find this seal. Put the part number right there. And so we're gonna have to wait for it to come in. It's gonna be a couple days. I just put that cover back on the side of the transmission just to kind of keep dirt from getting in there until the new seal comes in. Once the seal comes in, we'll put the seal and the nylon bushing in, install the piston, put the new cover seal on, all that kind of stuff. And we're gonna have to pull the pan because to make sure that the shaft that goes in the piston here lines up with the band, or the part that attaches to the band, or that pushes on the band, whatever you want to call it. So we're gonna have to do all that once the seal comes in. So we're gonna have to end this one here while we're waiting on parts. And next video you see, we'll be putting this thing all back together. I also think this video has probably gotten pretty long because it took way too long to get this thing out. I'm gonna have to cut some of this out because, yeah, take the tips that I shared on that, and yeah, hopefully it goes much easier for you. So again, thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and subscribe for more.